this is a really powerful voting bloc, and it's often a single issue voting bloc. Don't screw with my Bitcoin. Don't screw with my crypto.
Uncertainty about how cryptocurrency regulation will roll out in the future, particularly in the U.S., remains a significant barrier for wider adoption of digital assets such as Bitcoin, said panelists Wednesday at one of the largest Bitcoin conferences of the year. But speakers at the Bitcoin 2022 conference in Miami Beach were optimistic that more policymakers and regulators were seeking to better understand the technology and to support innovation in the sector. Consumers being able to pay for products and services of crypto is seen by many in the industry as a path to wider acceptance of digital currencies. But one major reason more merchants aren't offering crypto as a payment method is regulatory uncertainty, according to a report presented at the conference by cloud-based payments platform Checkout.com. The report, based on a survey of 3,000 businesses across 10 countries, mostly online marketplaces, financial technology, and e-commerce, said that regulatory uncertainty would endure as the creation of national legal frameworks for regulating crypto has been relatively slow and uneven. Mike Novogratz, chief executive of investment firm Galaxy Digital, said the attitude in Washington regarding moves to crack down on cryptocurrency has begun to change. Before we listen to Mike Novogratz, take a second to smash the like button and consider subscribing if you are yet to do so. Thanks for watching our videos.
So I think the most important week in lots of ways in crypto last year was around the infrastructure bill, when the Biden administration really tried to sneak in a poison pill, or at least, a get-you-sick pill into that legislation. And the crypto community mobilized. Remember, I was in the south of France on vacation, my only vacation I took, and I was on the phone with every senator I knew, but everyone was. More impressively, there was this retail groundswell. There were millions of phone calls placed to congressmen and senators, and DC was shocked. That was the wake-up call when they realized, this is a really powerful voting bloc, and it's often a single issue voting bloc. Don't screw with my Bitcoin. Don't screw with my crypto. Elizabeth Warren, who has got a lot of clout with the Biden administration, who is very close to the head of the SEC, had a lot of influence about how the Biden administration was thinking. And what is really interesting is Janet Yellen and the president's executive order really had a change in tone recently. It was a change in tone from being negative to being balanced. That's politics. That is not because they saw the light, it's because they wow, we need to pay attention. And there are two things that got them thinking, right? This is about innovation, right? And it's about the little guy. I think that narrative is changing in DC. I don't see legislation showing up this year. The way politics are set up, we're going to be in a gridlock. But I think the chance of them doing really damaging things has gone way down.
When we start to think about politicians, I think a lot of it is they respond to the average citizen or people who have influence. And one of the things that's important around Bitcoin is the narrative, right? What is the narrative of the moment? And it brings in different groups of people based on what narrative is kind of popular at the moment. In America, we have 8% inflation, probably going higher when the March numbers come out. Is Bitcoin an inflation hedge? Is it a non-correlated asset? Is it a speculation tool? What is the narrative that you think is kind of resonating with the market today?
So I would say Bitcoin is far more important outside of the US than it is inside the US. The US dollar has been very stable against other currencies for a long period of time. And when you look at Lebanon or Russia or Turkey, they haven't been. And so, but every macro investor, every common citizen can look and see what we're spending and realize with debt to GDP at 140%, it's really hard to see solving that issue without inflating your way out. And now we're seeing 8% inflation. And so it's becoming part of a portfolio for institutions, part of a portfolio. And I think the narrative isn't that we're going to replace the dollar with Bitcoin. It's not that I'm going to buy these fancy shoes in Bitcoin. It's that I'm going to take some of my wealth and preserve it and store it there as an asset. Right now, it's still correlated to the NASDAQ. That correlation is starting to break down, right? It used to have a beta of 4, now it's got a beta of 2. Why is it correlated? Because most people bought risk assets and bought Bitcoin because the Fed was pumping in so much money. And so what drove prices up, inflation, is driving both NASDAQ, right? Stocks, believe it or not, are an inflation hedge, right? It's hard to remember, like, but stocks are an inflation hedge. If you have hyperinflation, stocks go way up because they're being repriced. And so there will continue to be a correlation. It'll break down some.
We've seen
Panelists also noted the importance of regulators offering standards for custodians of cryptocurrency assets. The president of Comenu Holdings Limited, a custodian of digital assets, said that so far there hasn't yet been a regulatory framework established for such issues as the entry of data and the segregation of fees. I think that, unfortunately, most of the regulators are somewhat behind getting to the point where they will actually create a standardization around this, Mr. Shalev said. Here at Savvy Finance, we believe that it's just a matter of time before the full adoption of Bitcoin and crypto in general. If you are still saving money in the bank and not investing in crypto, today may be a good time to start investing in this digital asset that is gradually taking over the financial world. Thanks for watching and see you in our next video.